Hey, family, how are you? Okay, 5 of you are good. Okay, let me ask you this. How was lunch? You enjoyed it? Well, welcome back. Welcome to Just for Family, Part 2. We are so honored to be in your company again. Hey, it's been really cool meeting many of you just in passing and to meet your students. This year is going to be a phenomenal year, but I can't think of a better way of having these organic exchanges with you. And so thank you. Thank you for braving the heat, continuing to navigate the itinerary. And so it's been a real joy spending time with all of you. Actually, one of our friends here from Brea, his name is Lewis, and he was here last night. And Lewis came up to me, he shook my hand, and you know what he said to me? Christ, scholarship, community, and service. Lewis, stand up real quick, and we're going to show Lewis some love. Lewis, stand up if you don't mind. Where are you at in this space? Where is he at? Show some love to Lewis. So I knew we would have some overachieving family members in this space. And so for Lewis and his spouse, we actually have, look, you need to be caffeinated well in this day and age. And so we have some nice APU mugs for Lewis. Is that all right? Come on, Lewis, come up and grab them. Come on up and grab them real quickly. We got to get this started. One for you, and then one for, you can't drink coffee by yourself. One for the missus. Let's show Lewis some love again. It's awesome. It's awesome. Now, listen, I want all of you to know, I've been talking to some of your students, and they respect your wisdom. They respect your experience. But sometimes they think because we're older that we're not cool. And I want you to know, contrary to what your student believes, you are cool. Can you say that to your neighbor? Say, hey, you're cool. You're cool. You're cool. You're cool. You're cool. Hey, I got an amen in the front row about that. Now, look, to add to your cool quotient, we actually have some more APU gear. Now, some of you already have this, so this is not limited edition, all right? But I gotta ask a question. I won't ask when. Who was APU's first president? And who is the current president? Anybody got that answer, you get these 2 T-shirts. Come on, somebody, real quickly. Don't take all day. Mary Hill, current president? Come on up and get these T-shirts. Good. Quickly. What's your name? Rebecca, where you from? San Dimas. All the way from San Dimas. Give Rebecca some love. It's good. Awesome. Okay, here's the last prize, and this is a good one. And I got this approved before I stepped into this venue. 2 free tickets to homecoming football game. We're expecting that game to sell out, and you won't even have to pay. You'll get 2 free tickets for you and whoever you choose to bring with you. All right, here's the question. You got to actually stand and answer the question aloud. This year, APU is launching 2 new sports. What are the 2 new sports? That's exactly right. Come on up. So for those who didn't hear that, football and then women's flag football will get started in the spring with Coach Beatty. All right, I'm going to give you this ticket. You come find me after the gathering because I need to get your email address to send you the ticket. What's your name? Larry, where are you from? Folsom, where? Folsom. Larry from Folsom. Show him some love. Good. That's awesome. All right, well, look, we hope you join us September the 19th, homecoming, APU versus Whittier. It's going to be electric, and we hope we sees that as an opportunity to return to campus, spend some time with your student, but also enjoy the festivities that we have planned for that weekend. Well, look, we are in for a remarkable session this afternoon. You will hear from our VP of Advancement, regarding parent and family engagement, VP, Dr. Dale Meineke. You'll hear from a panel that includes President Morris, Faith Morris, and some of our esteemed faculty and staff who have navigated the journey of walking with their student through the collegiate journey. And so they're going to have a ton of wisdom that I think will be a blessing to you. And there's always a lot of humor based on some of the thoughts that they share. So I assure you, you don't want to miss that. That's going to be fantastic. And then we take physical safety of your student very seriously here at APU. And so our executive director for campus safety, Paul Dennis, he's going to come share some details with you that I know you will appreciate. And we're so thankful for Paul's heart for this community, for our students, the safety of this community. And so you'll be blessed by that presentation. But first, we have a presentation on academic faith integration, Bible classes here at APU. Christian formation is such a hallmark here at Azusa Pacific University. It dates back to 1899 when Mary Hill was the president. I tell you, our operation is in really good hands with our provost, Dr. Anita Hink, and she'll be joined by Brian Matthews. Can you be so kind to welcome them to the stage at this time?
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Well, they don't give me enough time to brag on our faculty. Let me start by saying that one of the things that's the best part of my job, and there's many best parts, is that Dr. Morris and I are the final interview for every full-time faculty candidate. And our entire conversation with them revolves around how they came to know the Lord, what it might look like for them to bring a Christian worldview into whatever they're teaching, whether it's math or nursing or political science or any of our other majors. And so we take that seriously. So I want to start by telling you that every course has academic faith integration across the curriculum. We have faith integration fellows from different disciplines that work with each of the faculty, particularly as they're new, to be able to help them think through how can we do the best in educating our students in this discipline and the very best of the Christian faith. And that, of course, starts with the heart of the faculty member. And so that's why we consider that final interview so important. In fact, just last week, we did last-minute interviews. We didn't shortcut anything, and we approved 6 new faculty for hire. And their stories of coming to the Lord and what they will do in the classroom were remarkable. And we've told them, don't hold back. Share that with your students. In addition, we have a general education curriculum. So most of you know what your student wants to major in or not. You're talking to a provost who changed her major her last semester of college, and it can still work out. I just want to give you hope. Guilty with an explanation that I'll tell you another time. But the reality is we focus a lot on what their major will be. And I think you heard from Dr. Rochelle Woods yesterday that a lot of students, 80+%, might change their major. But what's undergirding all of that at liberal arts colleges like Azusa Pacific University is that we believe every student needs a foundation of a variety of disciplines so that they can be integrated thinkers, that they can learn how to question well, that they can learn so that they can be prepared for whatever life brings their way. And so that's called a general education curriculum. And at this point, I want to invite Dr. Bryant Matthews to the stage. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, when I was a new provost, we set the agenda of redesigning our entire general education curriculum. And we could not have found a more fine leader for that process, a math professor who now serves also, in addition to Director of General Education, he's an Associate Dean of the College of Arts, Humanities, Sciences, and Theology. And he's going to talk with you now a little bit about our general education curriculum, but particularly about our Bible classes. So would you join me in welcoming Dr. Bryant Matthews?
Well, good afternoon. Let me join Provost Hank in extending a warm welcome to APU. I'm excited to be here today to tell you about the role of Bible and theology classes in our general education curriculum and the way they lay a foundation for faith integration in students' majors. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to honor all that you've done to raise these students and to walk alongside them through the joys and challenges of their lives up to this point. I know you'll continue to play an essential role in their lives as anchors and trusted guides in the years to come. As the person responsible for overseeing the APU core curriculum, and as a parent of 2 children myself, I often think about the trust you're placing in us to nurture your students' growth during these key formative years of their lives in college. We're grateful for the trust that you place in us, and we don't take it lightly. My colleagues and I are here at APU because we care passionately about our students' growth as whole persons. As a university, we're of course deeply invested in developing students' minds, and their knowledge and skills and creativity. But at APU, it's not only students' intellect that we care about. We care just as much about what kind of person they're becoming and what kind of life they will live after they graduate. Each of your students will experience a curriculum at APU that has been carefully designed and refined to support students' growth as whole persons. They'll experience it in their major, and they'll also experience it in the general education program, whether they opt for our newly redesigned APU core program or for the excellent Honors Humanities program in the Honors College. So what do I mean by whole person growth? Well, I would sum it up like this. Our programs seek to nurture students of wisdom and character who go on to live lives of worship and mission. Let me say that again. Our programs seek to nurture students of wisdom and character who go on to live lives of worship and mission. So first, wisdom. A wise person knows what really matters. A wise person seeks and finds answers to life's biggest questions, like, why am I here? What's my purpose? Who is God and how should I relate to him? And what are my responsibilities to others? A wise person knows what it looks like to live a good, faithful life. And then second, character. A person of mature character doesn't just know what a good life looks like, but takes intentional steps to try to live with virtue and integrity. A person of character cultivates the fruit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, so that over time these traits become more and more second nature. A person of strong character grows deep roots so that they continue to bear fruit throughout their lives, even when the inevitable storms come. Now, wisdom and character are important, but they're not the end of the story. Ultimately, we want to nurture wisdom and character because they equip our students for worship and mission. Everyone worships something. What I mean by that is that everyone treats something as if it has ultimate worth and gives it their loyal devotion and focuses their lives on pursuing it, whether it's money or status or pleasure or God. And one of the fundamental realities of life is that we tend to become like what we worship. If we worship money, we can begin to view life as a series of impersonal transactions. If we worship status or power, we can start to see other people as tools that we use as we climb our way higher and higher. If we worship pleasure, we can come to treat the world primarily as something to be consumed for our own enjoyment and entertainment. But on the other hand, if we worship the God of the Bible, we can find ourselves being transformed more and more into the likeness of Jesus, into kind and generous and courageous people full of faith, hope, and love. In their Bible and theology classes, students will come to understand what it looks like to offer one's worship and allegiance to God in the person of Jesus Christ. And however and whenever students process through the decision of where their ultimate allegiance lies, which truly is their own decision to make, we pray that out of that discernment process will flow a sense of mission. We pray that students will find their higher calling in life, the sweet spot where their talents and passions intersect with the needs of this world. And we pray that this sense of calling will motivate them in their studies here at APU and in their service after they graduate, whether it's in their workplace or their neighborhood or in the church or in a place far from home. We invite our students to cultivate this sense of calling or mission through a relationship with God that is enriched by deep study of the Bible. That's why our APU core curriculum has 6 courses in biblical and theological formation embedded within it, beginning with the Foundational Cornerstones course in the first semester. And it's why the Honors College curriculum includes many readings from the Bible and other great works that draw upon the biblical tradition. We want students to discover the great story the Bible tells of God creating the world and then working to redeem it because of his incredible love for us and at great cost to himself. And we want students to learn how God calls us into his story, to be instruments of his mission, agents of renewal, and beacons of hope in a world that desperately needs God's love and redemption. So in summary, whether your student will be completing general education through the APU Core or the Honors Humanities program in the Honors College, they will experience a curriculum that aims to form them as people of wisdom and character, launched forward into worship and mission that are shaped by their engagement with Scripture and with the Christian theological tradition. As your students move from their general education courses into the courses for their major, they'll experience thoughtful faith integration there too, that builds on what they've learned in their Bible and theology courses in ways that enrich the subject matter and support their spiritual growth. Now, with all of that said, it's important for me to say, APU opens our arms wide to students at all different stages of their spiritual journey. Some of our students have just a little familiarity with the Bible or with Christian faith. And others read the Bible regularly or have been deeply involved in a church community or feel a strong personal loyalty to Jesus. Each student is on their own unique journey of growth in wisdom and character and of exploring worship and mission. And we respect every student as an individual made in God's image. And our faculty will provide a welcoming space for each student in the classroom, inviting them to engage genuinely and thoughtfully with what they're learning. So no matter where your students are in their journey, we're happy they're here. We welcome them to come as they are, to jump into our community, and to know that they belong here and they are truly valued. And we trust and pray that they will feel at home here. Ultimately, whether your student's in a classroom with a faculty member, or in chapel with a campus pastor, on a practice field with a coach, or in a meeting with an advisor or a counselor, they will be spending time with someone who's committed to their growth as a person, someone who's investing in helping them to grow deep roots and to embrace their higher calling in this world. So I just want to thank you so much for entrusting your students to us. We are grateful for the privilege of spending time with them, and we will keep them in our prayers. And next, I would like to welcome up Dr. Dale Meineke, who is our Vice President for Advancement. Join me in welcoming him.
Okay, my job this afternoon is to share with you how you can stay connected with us throughout the year. And I know how important this is because I have dropped off two of my own daughters at college, and I know how important it is to stay connected to the university. And both daughters were very different when I dropped them off. One was very timid, nervous, didn't have very many friends. The other daughter, we dropped her off. Somehow she had this whole group of friends through an app before we even got to campus. Some of you may relate to that. The first daughter that we dropped off studied all the time her first year and didn't go to a lot of activities. We had to remind her and kind of push her out there. Go, be a part of things. The second daughter, she was a part of everything, and we had to remind her, hey, make sure that you're studying in the midst of all the fun that you're having at the university. But you know what they both needed? They both needed our encouragement and our prayer as parents, and so did we. We needed encouragement and prayer as parents as well. I love the passage in Ecclesiastes that says that a cord of three is not easily broken. And so we want to be that cord with Christ in the middle. Let's be braided together so that we can provide the encouragement and support that our students need from us. And that's what we do in advancement. Advancement doesn't just raise money, although we do that and we love that. There's scholarships that we want to, scholarship dollars that we want to raise for students. There's building projects that are happening around the campus. We want to raise money for that. There's academic programming that we want to raise money for. So we raise money, but we also Friend Raise. And we make sure that our alumni, our friends, our parents stay connected, are friends of the university, and we're friends back to them. And so we offer lots of things throughout the year that we can stay connected, and that's really important. And so I'm going to share a couple things with you, ways that you can stay connected. The first thing is so new, we don't even have a slide up here for this one. And this comes grassroots from one of our faculty staff, Julie Bocock. I don't know if Julie is here, but Julie is one of our staff members, and God just laid on her heart that we need to have a parent group that's praying together. She has a freshman that's starting this year, and so Julie is organizing a parent group that's going to come together and pray together. And you can join that group if that's something that's interesting to you, that you want to be a part of, by emailing Julie at, let me give this to you, it's apuparentspray@gmail.com. I'm going to say it again, apuparentspray@gmail.com. You know what, I'm going to borrow a little bit from Dr. Hall. Let's say it together. Let's do this together. Ready? apuparentspray@gmail.com. You can email Julie, get organized as a group of parents, and really pray for your students and pray for one another. Now, this next one I do have a slide for, and this is another prayer opportunity. With this one, you can join our president in praying for our campus and for what's happening. And throughout the year, on the next slide, you can scan this QR code. It's going to come up here in just a minute, I believe. You can scan the QR code, and every month you're going to get an email from President Morris with an update about what's happening on campus and ways that you can pray. So scan that QR code, Azusa Prays, get that email, and stay connected with us by praying for our campus and our students. The next one is, you've heard about this a lot, and that's homecoming on the right there. I don't know who those two guys are, but they look super cool. I haven't met them yet. And so I look forward to meeting them. They've got some cool friends, too, that are going to be playing football at homecoming, and we want to cheer them on, and we want you here. Another great time for you to come back to campus, be with your student, be with other parents, and be a part of the APU community. So plan to come back to homecoming. And then the last one is dinner rally. How many of you are familiar with dinner rally? I'm seeing some hands go up. Yeah, dinner rally. This is the 75th dinner rally. 75th. For 75 years, APU has been hosting this dinner rally. That is a great legacy, and it's a lot of fun. We want you to come back, be a part of that Friday, October 16th. Join us for dinner rally. We will highlight the mission of APU. We'll showcase the talent of our students. And, of course, give our alumni, our friends, our parents, our faculty staff an opportunity to fund scholarships that are so needed for our students. So don't miss that. Be with us. It's going to be a great time. We look forward to seeing you throughout the year. This is your home too. Come back, be a part, and join us here for our APU community events. Okay, at this time, I'm going to introduce Alex O. Alex is going to come up and host a panel, and you're going to enjoy this panel. And I think when we applaud for Alex when he comes up, we need to do so loudly because Alex and his staff has put this whole weekend together. So we need to thank him. And also, this is not just Alex, but Alex finished his doctorate this summer. So he is Dr. Alex O. Has put a lot of hard work into it. So let's give him a big round of applause as he comes.
All right. I get to come back up on stage and host another panel this afternoon. So what a privilege to be on stage with gosh, some friends, and I mean, part of the time that we wanted to spend this afternoon was just to be able to have a conversation, just to really create a space of affirmation, empathy, care, and support as you all are navigating the season of transition. Last night I talked about the emotional moment that my parents and I had in the parking lot that we had just moved into. My mom's rosy cheeks and her tears coming down her face. And I just remember that just like yesterday, and how that was such a meaningful transition for both myself and for our parents. And so all of the panelists have experienced that transition themselves and are part of this APU community. And so we thought we would have a conversation about what that looked like for them, and maybe what are some things that they learned along the way, and maybe some best practices, whether this be your first child or your last, as you navigate this transition together. So with that being said, I can imagine, panelists, this space, we have families who are experiencing an array of emotions ranging from joy and sadness. So in an effort to develop a space of presence and empathy, would you share some personal reflections on navigating your students' transition? How did you manage or handle the emotions that maybe for some feels really overwhelming right now?
Well, for us, it was an emotional moment. We have 4 kids. They're all now in their 20s and 30s, and so we're not too far removed from the chairs that you're sitting in. I remember we were in a Chevy Suburban in a national park. I'm driving. I believe it was at the end of a full day, and out of the rear view mirror, I catch a glimpse of my son, our oldest son, asleep with his head against the window. Everyone in the car was asleep, and I just remember the tears started welling up, and I remember feeling like the equilibrium in our home was about to change. And feeling like what we had worked so hard to build was being dismantled, and it was tough. And as I mentioned last night, having had 4 kids go to college, the lump in my throat was there all 4 times. I don't really think it got easier for us. But I remember partway through with our kids as they were going off to college, just remembering what my own college experience was like, and it was like fabulous. And I realized in my own emotions that I was more focused on what I felt like I was losing, and less focused on what my kids were about to experience. And so I remember telling myself, like snap out of it, Adam. Like, this is not about you. This is the moment that our kids have been waiting for, and this is what we've raised them for this next leg of their journey. And so our kids they're doing great. And I just remember, wow, I look back on it and I remember just the raw emotion. But as I shared with the family just before this session started, we found our rhythm so fast after our kids went to college, and our kids just thrived. And so that's a little bit of our experience. But what would you add, Faith, to that?
Well, I would say, as Dr. Hall so aptly mentioned last night, if you're feeling the emotion of the weekend, know it is completely normal. If you are leaving your student here in our wonderful student housing and you're dreading that inevitable goodbye, know that that is normal as well. Completely normal feelings. We've had them close to us in our home all these years, and it's very normal to feel that way as you think of letting them go. A little bit of advice, especially for those who are maybe separating either tonight or tomorrow. Tell your student how much you love them. It would be great for them to hear that. And tell them how proud you are of them. It is a huge milestone. We all look back, I think, to starting college, and it is a huge milestone to get to that point. They've successfully made it through high school, and now their college journey is begun. So make sure you tell them how proud you are of them. And for us, and in a strange way, there was a relief that came once Welcome Weekend was over. As Adam mentioned, we did it 4 times. And I can't say that it really got easier, but I can say that once it was over, we were relieved and excited for our kids. One thing we were encouraged to do, especially after the last one, but even take a little trip. If you really are entering into the empty nest phase, take a trip as a couple. It doesn't have to be big. Go away, do some reset. You started as two, and you're home, and it actually will be a really, really great season.
So my husband and I both work on the APU campus for many years. So by the time our older one started college here, we thought we're ready. You know, we've welcomed students for years and we know the routine. But you know what? After we sent her to Engstrom, I went home. I live only across the street, very close. I went home and tears started coming down when I saw the empty room. And I wasn't ready for it, and I thought I would be fine. So I think I talked to Emily's parents over there earlier, similarly, that this is natural. Whether you've been through this before or not, I think that's natural. I think that's actually God's way of telling us how much and how deeply we love our children. So I think what was really helpful is to set up some time, regular time, to check in with my daughter. And also remind myself to come before the Lord that not just my daughter is growing, I am also growing. This is a new season for me. And that I need to understand and remember that this is God's calling for her. My husband and I raised her for a time such as this to release her, to trust in the Lord and to really grow in faith. So I had a lot to learn too. So I think that helped me in my FaceTime, in my quiet time, in my devotional, that I really seek the Lord every day to help me to grow, now as a parent of a college student. So I hope that will be helpful for you.
Well, 2 down and 1 to go. What I mean by that is I have 3 kids, and all 3 of them have navigated the college journey. My oldest, well, let me back up a little bit. The road to college has been a conversation in my household all of my kids' lives. Not only because of it being something that I wanted for them, but also something that I knew that they also wanted through our conversations that we had. So all 3 of them were kind of different, you know, and what I did as a parent was really try to connect with their passion. I'll start with my oldest. My oldest went to a school across town. They call it Biola or something like that, I'm not sure. But he played basketball as a student athlete, and from a very young age, he had a passion to play basketball, and we just honed in on that. And you know, I'd be out in the backyard rebounding for him and all of that stuff. And the day came where he was college age and had an opportunity to get his education through a sport that he loved. So I just embraced that with him and took that ride with him and celebrated that with him. And he was able to successfully navigate his college career. And then my daughter, my middle daughter, who had a passion for art, and from the age of about 10, picked up a pencil and started sketching. And I tell you what, she never put that pencil down. Every single day, she just drew and drew and drew. And at the time that she was approaching college age, APU did not have an animation program here. And God works miracles in that the year that she was ready to go off to college was the inaugural year of APU's animation programs. So I had the extra blessing of being here on campus while my daughter was navigating her journey here, and that was fun. But again, it was just an opportunity just to pour into her desires and support her however I could. And then my last one is currently navigating this journey. She is a commuter student here at APU currently with about 1.5 years to go. And once again, you know, it's she's a commuter, so she's still at home, so I get to see her. The other 2 did live on campus. And so, yeah, there was a little bit of a void at home, but I kind of liked the extra space. And I also liked the fact that my grocery bill wasn't quite as high. So there were some perks to it. But I would simply say that I know this can be a scary or a challenging time, but also when there is a whole lot of fun in this. And I would just challenge you as parents to just connect with your loved one, even if they're, living on campus and you're a little bit away. There's ways to be connected and to support them.
I was a blubbering mess. It was just that simple. I was in the fetal position for 2 weeks. I drug a sleeping bag into my daughter's room and laid on the floor for weeks at a time. No, it's a little dramatic, but I had a tough time, and as others have said, live into that. It's a big deal. It was all women for me, and I was especially close to both of my daughters, and when they left, it was difficult, and I struggled, and so a couple of people have said, live into that. Let that be you. I don't know if you play sad music or talk to your friends or mow the yard more times than it needs, but whatever it is that gets you through the night, live in it. But what became clear to me a little ways in, and this did help, I was struggling more than they were. I was laying in that fetal position assuming that they were pining away. Where's Dad? Where's Dad? Guess what? They weren't. They were having a blast with their new mates, and they were well taken care of, and they were eating well and having fun. And so if you find yourself really struggling, as I say, let that happen. It's part of it. But remind yourself that you may be dealing with it, having more difficulty than they are, and that helped me a lot.
Thank you all for your responses. That might be a nice segue to the second question here. So last night, Dr. Hall shared this following sentiment: stay connected, but give me space too. So would you speak to the adjustments you made in establishing a rhythm that supported your students' autonomy while also staying connected? And Matt, if you wouldn't mind just kind of speaking to the commuter experience, since you've been working closely with the commuter population, maybe you can speak to that, because we have families here who are dropping their students off in the residence halls, but we also have families, right, that are going to be living in the same space with our commuter students. And so we'd just love to kind of open up that question.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, commuters are a unique challenge. It's simple in some ways, but you say to yourself, well, they're only an hour or 20 minutes away or whatever it might be. The challenge for commuters oftentimes is they are trying to live in dual worlds. They're on a journey of self-authorship, right? We're fascinated as student development people on how they learn and what that means. So they're on that journey. The challenge is that oftentimes they feel guilty. I talk to a lot of commuter students, and a lot of times they are struggling with that, how to live in two different worlds. I just challenge you, right? Easy for me to say I was not good at it, I'm sure. But do your best to kind of limit the pressure that you might put on them. Many of us maybe have Sunday night as family dinner night, perhaps, in your family. And you as parents are going to want them to be there, and naturally so. If you can, to the degree that you can, give them some room, because they are meeting new people. They want to be here, but at the same time, they are worried about you. I talk to students in my office that, my mom, I feel bad that my mom misses me and so on. So try to find a balance, maybe easier said than done, but try to find that balance between not putting too much pressure on them. Let grace abound. They are trying to find themselves, and stress like this and change like this creates stress. And so if you can and when you can, say, would you rather be at something on Friday night? You're always welcome to come home. We made that very clear. In fact, if I had it my druthers, they'd be home every night. We'd eat every meal together. That's not realistic. But one of the challenges that commuter students and commuter parents find is that balance of living in two worlds. And it goes just beyond that. Many of them still have friends in the area. Many of them still want to attend the same church that they're from. But they have people here inviting them to their church. So there's a lot of decisions. There's a lot of challenges that commuter students uniquely face. And so probably the best advice that I can give you is let them drive that. Let them drive that agenda. If they want to come back every Sunday night, welcome that. If you see a pattern and they're coming back all the time, I might challenge you to ask them a few questions. You have some people on campus at your meeting as well. But do your best to manage and help them manage kind of those dual relationships that they're living into. They will feel it. They feel it maybe more than you do, to be in two places at once. And as we all know, that's a challenge. So do your best to support them in that.
Thank you.
I really couldn't add much more to that. For me, it was, again, just supporting each one of my kids. With my son, I took his basketball games that he may have as an opportunity to go and be in his presence, to see him while, supporting the team. The interesting one was my daughter that I said went to school here and lived on campus. If you haven't figured it out, I have something to do with campus safety here at the university. So I'm here every day, and my daughter was living on campus, and again, I did my best not to avoid her or anything like that, but believe it or not, I rarely ran into her. And I'm thankful for that because it allowed her to have her space. I reflect back on my own college journey and how much growth that I was able to obtain outside of the presence of my parents. I just lived down the street, and I knew where home was, and I knew I could get there if I needed to. And so I guess I'm just echoing what Matt had just said, is that just, giving your loved one an opportunity to have some space, to grow, to learn. They're going to trip and fall, but there's some amazing staff here that are going to get them back on their feet, brush their knees off, and get them back right on tracks. And you just have to trust that process.
Yes, so this is a tremendous time of growth, and that's what we pray for our daughter when she started at APU. 5 years ago, she graduated. So because I mentioned my husband and I both work here, so we intentionally left her alone and gave her a lot of space. We didn't even schedule in regular coffee times, which I don't recommend, and just let her really grow to be whom God's created her to be. But the first weekend, it was Labor Day weekend, we had a family wedding, and because we live pretty close to campus, she did ask, can she come home and do laundry? And I said, well, Daddy, can you answer that? So we said, actually, no, you cannot do laundry at home because you need to learn how to adult and navigate through those new challenges. So since then, she did not ask anymore to come home to do laundry, even though we're only 2 minutes away. So I think we have to set certain guidelines and boundaries, but at the same time also let her explore and just really letting her know, reminding her that we're here if you need help, but we would like you to figure things out first.
Yeah, I might just add that for us, I think it was probably the middle of the first semester before we felt like we really established like a rhythm of engagement with our kids when they started college. And so, like, I would say don't be surprised if, for some of you, if you don't hear much from them after tomorrow. Like, it might be a week or so. You might not have the level of engagement that you're hoping for, but as has been shared, there is so much happening here, like next week in particular, as they are beginning to just acclimate to a whole new world. And so I would just caution you in terms of your own expectations, but encourage you and say that, within a number of weeks with our kids, certainly during that first semester, we developed sort of the routines of communication and found our stride with our kids. I wasn't working here at the time, and our kids weren't attending here, but our kids went to college close to where we lived, and so we also wanted them to know that our home was accessible to them. And so if your student is living on campus and geographically you're somewhat close, probably by the midpoint of the semester, there's going to be a lot of students here who would love a home-cooked meal. They will be looking for free laundry. And so if you're in that situation, we just told our kids, hey, our home is your home, just because you're in college. And so have your friends come over, you can use the house, and they would have retreats. We don't live in a big house, but they'd have like RA retreats at our home, and we got in a rhythm of Sunday lunch for whoever could make it, and then we found it. I found, especially with our kids, Faith did as well, that it was some of the informal times. Like one of our kids would swing by home. They might be there, through dinner, and I would say, "Hey, I got to run to the store quick. You want to go?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to go." And it's those informal conversations in the car, like, "Hey, so tell me, like, how's it really going?" And those were really important connection moments for us. and gave us a sense for like how they were really doing. And I can just tell you the growth that we were seeing in our kids just reinforced that this was just such a great, season of life for them to be engaged in the life of a Christian university.
So last night we talked about how 30% of our students, our incoming students, are first generation students. So as a first generation college student myself, we at APU are so grateful and honor the first generation college student families in this space because our first generation students, they bring incredible agency, aptitude, and capacity to our university community. However, because it's their first time going to college and they don't have others to kind of speak to about the experience, some processes and higher ed language may be unfamiliar. And so kind of curious to know, for some of you, what are some practical suggestions you would offer to first generation families to remain engaged and in the know and to be of the greatest support to their students?
I was a first gen student myself, but I would say this. I would say trust them. Trust yourselves. Trust that you did the best that you could as parents. You have pointed them on the right track. You have made it clear that Jesus is Lord. You have given them every opportunity. And I would challenge you to trust them and assume the best in them. What happens, what we know about college students in the 18 to 24-year-old range, there's variance and so on, but they're still figuring themselves out. We know that. I'm 16 years old and I'm still figuring myself out some. But we know that they are, and they're going to take some of their cues from you still, even while they're not here. So if you are asking a lot of questions, which is okay to do, but if that comes across as you are fearful, that's going to get them to think, are they doing the right thing? So as best you can, trust them. Trust that you have invested in them. Trust that you have given them everything that they can. You'll still be there and answer questions. You'll still guide them and so on. But they will hear trust in you. They will gain their own sense of self-autonomy. They will gain their own sense of who I am and who I want to be and who I am by feeling that from you. So if we are fearful around them, if we are questioning things oftentimes around them, they may begin some of that. I challenge you to trust them, trust yourself, speak positively. Remind them that, right now some of them are scared to death. This is going to be, I'm never going to fit in here, the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I'm never going to fit in. I'm never going to find anybody. Change that narrative. The corner of Citrus and Azusa may be the best place you could ever be, and you will have some of the best times of your life here. Speak that language to them. Model that language to them, and I think that you will find that encourages them.
Well, I want to invite you, if there are opportunities and resources for first-generation families, take advantage of them. If there's a workshop for you, if there is an opportunity to be on campus, to visit, or to even dialogue with faculty and staff, come. I think, there are lots of questions you may have and things that you don't understand, but we're here to support you and your student. And so let's figure that out together. And don't be shy. If you have questions, reach out. We are a campus in which you've heard one of our cornerstones community, and we really believe in doing things together.
So this next question, we talked about this morning. We asked our panelists of students this morning, hey, what were some of the highlights that you've experienced, but also some of the challenges that you've experienced as a student so far? And so we were kind of imagining, right, we're anticipating that students will experience real joy, but also maybe some moments of real kind of anxiety or worry or concern. And so kind of curious to hear from you all, how did you practically coach your students through seasons of challenge, whether that be academically connected, relationally, or spiritually?
Yeah, I think for us it was avoiding the temptation to just jump in and try to fix it. And that took some practice. I like to fix things, and so I think what Dr. Hall mentioned last night, the example he gave of the student who received a B- and hadn't talked to the professor. And so when you get the phone call or the email or the text from your student and they're facing some sort of challenge, my advice would be avoid the maybe instinct of just jumping in yourself and trying to solve it. Like if your first reaction is, you're going to make the phone call, you're going to send the email, like I would say just avoid that. And ask questions. I know for me, when my kids would have a challenge, I would ask a series of questions to try to help them like logically think through, okay, I'm facing a challenge. How do I think about the challenge and then figure out sort of how to do the troubleshooting? And that's part of, right, them becoming independent and learning and growing and so, that overused phrase of being a helicopter parent, I just would say work really hard to not be that, because what you really are wanting your student to do is to figure out how to face challenges in life and navigate them, without your intervention. And so that would be a little bit of advice I'd give.
In the vein of being a helicopter parent, this would be more geared for parents wired like me who could be chronic worriers. And I have a piece of advice in that: don't overutilize locator services with your kids. It's just really not healthy and productive for us as parents. And we had, as Adam may have mentioned, 4 kids, 3 kids. We had one year where 3 were actually in college at once. So my trying to keep track of them could have almost been a full-time job. But what can happen, or what happened in our case, my case, the end of the day, I'm tired, ready for bed. I get in bed, Adam's already asleep, pull out my phone, and then it was really more for our daughters, really, than sons. But, and I wasn't not trusting them, more trusting, the world around them. But it'd be 10 o'clock at night, and you may know this, but if you don't, college-age students, their day begins around 9 or 10 at night, because they've been busy all day long, and they've been stressed. And so I pull that out, and the school they were attending at the time was a straight shot south on Beach Boulevard. You could be at the beach in 40 minutes. And so I would, like, wow, they're just starting? You mean they're going to the beach? That's, 40 plus 40 is 80. That's probably add another hour for them to go get food. So that being said, sometimes I'd nudge him, and he was fine,
I was sleeping and not worried.
It was really, I made it my burden, and so I would really encourage you, not to do that. Likewise, maybe your student is struggling in a class. Don't get online and make sure they're, you see the dot on the APU campus when they're supposed to be in class and they're not. Yeah. So don't do that. They're going to have fun. They're going to go places, and they need to be focused on their studies, but it's a season of life where they're going to do things that are really out of the ordinary. Probably one of our most extreme was our daughter had a great group of friends, guys too, really wholesome kids, and she told us they were going to drive to the Grand Canyon, and they were going to watch the sunrise, and then they were going to drive back. And they did that. And, we, of course, didn't have a say in it, and they had a great time. But again, just be very cautious in how much you micromanage your kids in that way.
I think the Lord knew I had to grow as a parent. So my daughter's freshman year, first semester, it was a few days before final exam, and she just came down with these extremely unbearable headaches. And she doesn't even normally have headaches. She couldn't even open her eyes. She couldn't even stand up. It was very concerning. And she was in the dorm, so we told her, why don't you come home? So we tried to care for her, and she couldn't even get up. It was just very stressful. And then she was worried about, what about my papers, and also going into finals week, what is that going to do? So even though I work here and I know my colleagues, the faculty, I resisted to help reach out to my colleagues And even though Evie was in such pain and trying to navigate through all that, I made her sit up and type emails to her teachers to let them know, the faculty to let them know how not well she was and what may become of finals week. And we were in the hospital, and then we didn't get results, this and that. Long story short, thankfully she was fine at the end, but it was a very stressful time, and I could have jumped in as someone who knows people here and also wanting to help. But I'm so glad I didn't, because I was so grateful. I have to kind of give a shout out to the English department and the Honors College, in which all my colleagues were so understanding and so supportive and wanting our students to be successful. So even though I work here, but in that week, I was a parent, and I was able to really appreciate how the faculty here and the staff too really care for our student holistically. And I hope that doesn't happen to your student, what happened to my daughter, but should that be the case, I hope you will have the peace that there are very caring and supportive faculty and staff here.
I think for me in those moments, what I really force myself to try and do is just really be a good listener. Just be an ear for my child to express what it is they're navigating in that moment, whether it's academics, whether it's just, the challenges of growing. I just really worked hard to try to listen and force myself not to be the person who has all the solutions, right? Because I recognize with my kids that, and I'm blessed in that they enjoy talking to me. They're not shy to come and talk to me. But just because they're coming to talk to me doesn't necessarily mean they want me to give them my opinion or tell them what to do. And so I'm careful to listen if they're asking me for that or if they're inviting me to give them that rather than me forcing what I believe they should do in that moment, because I don't want to steal their opportunity to grow and to learn. And for me, it took some discipline to do that, but it worked, and it's working. So I would share that.
Dr. Morris alluded to this idea of how much to support them. And so my love language is service, right? And so it gets me in trouble sometimes, but it's who I am. I would challenge you to find the balance of challenge and support for them. Find out what the education term for that is disequilibration. We believe that students develop best when they are about equal.
Can you say that word again?
Disequilibration, where you are thrown off balance a little bit, but that you find that balance. Too much support and growth doesn't take place. Learning doesn't take place. Too much, did I say that backwards? Too much challenge and they crash and they can't figure things out. So I love the fact that APU faculty members understand that, and the way we teach in the classroom, we find that balance of challenge and support. So when you can, when it doesn't hurt anything, maybe do something for them. If you feel like you're creating a student that can't make decisions for their own or is doing, maybe you change that up a little bit. But the idea of disequilibration means find that balance of challenge and support. It's not easy for a person that wants to help so much and wants to do so much. You'll find that balance.
Thank you all. So as we bring this conversation to a close, could you all briefly share one culminating piece of advice or encouragement for the families who are now part of our APU community?
I would suggest that you encourage your student to engage in the local church. If you're from out of the area, your students will be given so many opportunities here to connect with local churches. It's maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, I believe, we have what I would call a church fair. A lot of churches will be on campus so that students can connect with different pastors and learn more about what's happening. If you are local, just encourage your kids to stay plugged into the church. We're not the church, I say that. And I think there's a temptation for college students when they're at a Christian university, right? They're taking their Bible units, they're in chapel 2 or 3 times a week. There's wonderful faith integration happening in the classroom. Hopefully your students will join a discipleship group. Hopefully your students will go on a short-term missions trip during spring break or summer. And so there are so many elements of like spiritual vitality that they can plug into, but we're not the church. And I've got good connections to so many churches in the area. And when I talk to pastors and they describe the impact that APU students have in their church community, in fact, one says it's like a defibrillator hits the congregation this time of year because their church just fills with APU students. And they've got students involved in youth ministry and students leading worship. And I know there's a church in the area, I think Wednesday nights there's 70 or 80 APU students in a Bible study. And so just encourage your kids to plug into the local church. And maybe ask them a few weeks from now, hey, have you been able to find a church? And if they haven't yet plugged in and they need help in this area, our spiritual life team, a bunch of us on campus can point them in the right direction. But encourage them to be involved in our local church community. They'll be blessed as students, and I know the churches are richly blessed to have them.
I know it's already been said, but give them grace and space. They're going to be put in a position to do executive functioning like probably they never have before. They're going to be managing their classes, managing their own daily lives, and then socially making new friends probably, and that's a lot. So just give them the grace and space they need. It's already been said. If you don't hear from them, that's okay. Give them a few days, and then maybe shoot them a text. Tell them you love them, you're praying for them. They may respond, they may not. But just allow them that freedom. And then one other just practical piece of information that we've noticed with our kids, especially around the holidays, you'll have expectations and maybe thinking back to how things were. Give them a few days. They've just probably come off finals. They've come off a lot of stimulation. Our kids, when they came home, generally would just want to sleep. And that can almost be offensive. Well, I've been waiting for you. I've got your room ready. I've got your favorite meals. But just give them a few days, and then they'll be back fully re-engaged.
I would say encourage your students to get to know the faculty. Even if they don't have a question, go to office hour. I think I can say on behalf of my faculty colleagues that we're here not just wanting to transfer information. We are not just about transactional relationships. We're really about transformational education. So if they get invited to one of the professors' house for dinner, encourage them to go. It's okay if they're commuting, if they come home later that night. If they get invited to a Bible study or some kind of gathering by their faculty or staff, encourage them to go.
Well, for me, I employed the 3 S's. And the first one is remind them to be safe, right? And everything that they do, remind them to be safe. Let them know that you support them, right? You're there for them, you support them, you'll be praying for them. You're not going to do everything for them, but you support them. And then the last one for us in my house that worked was we just gave them their space. You've heard that word said several times, and I personally don't think it can be emphasized enough. It's so valuable that this is a great opportunity for your loved one to grow and to learn and to experience, and for you to know that if they trip and fall, there's so many wonderful people here that are going to catch them and raise them back up. So the 3 S's would be what I would share with you.
I would say this quickly. It is not over. It is just the beginning. Right? I drove away. When I dropped them off at school, even though I worked, I somehow thought my job was over. I've done everything I can as a parent. They're on their own now. Just not true. You will have a new relationship with them. It will be different. They may not live at home again. You won't have that day-to-day stuff. They will want you. I am so blessed to have relationships with my daughters. They call me almost every single day. One just moved to Wisconsin. I'm going to start crying. One just moved to Wisconsin this week. The other's moving back to China tomorrow. But I have a new relationship with them. Just kind of remind yourself that this isn't the end. It's a new season. It's a different season. Your day-to-day parenting has changed, but they still love you. They still want you. They still need you. Dad, which pan do I use if I'm frying this? They will interact with you. So that's something I had to learn. I felt like this chapter's over, and that's that. I have been so pleasantly surprised and blessed that the relationship that I have with them as adult women now.
Can we show appreciation to our panel this afternoon? So I have a 7th grader and a 5th grader, and I feel like I'm just taking all this knowledge in right now. You know what I mean? I'm getting ready for my for when it's my time. I know that it's coming soon, my goodness. But anyway, I digress. Well, thank you all so much for your participation in the panel. Really appreciate it. We're actually going to transition now to our final portion of our afternoon. Our Executive Director of Campus Safety, Paul Dennis, is going to stay on stage and talk to you about our Department of Campus Safety. So if you can welcome Paul.
Well, hello again. I think I'll use the hand mic. How's that? I have a tendency to walk back and forth on the stage, but I told myself I'm going to employ discipline today and try to stand still. So bear with me if I don't hold true to that. My name is Paul Dennis, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of Campus Safety here at APU. I've been in this role for the last 9 years, and let me just share a little bit about kind of my journey in life and how I kind of got back here. APU, my relationship with APU started, I'm going to date myself here, but in 1986, so 40 years ago. I walked onto this campus on a weekend much like this one as an 18-year-old, not really sure what life had in store for me. Perhaps it's the same sentiment that maybe some of your loved ones have at the moment. What I did know to be true was I wanted to get an education, and I was an athlete. I was a track and field athlete at the time, and I knew I wanted to run. And I learned about APU through my high school basketball coach, who was an alumni here. And I went to a public school. So I didn't go to a faith-based private Christian school, but I grew up in a Christian home. And the influence that my high school basketball coach had and the way he spoke about APU was really, really intriguing to me, and that's kind of how I landed here. And I can honestly tell you, again, my relationship started 40 years ago. The things that I learned here as an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old before I went out into the world were so foundational to my adult life, spiritually, professionally, everything. So you have all helped your loved one make an outstanding decision to come to this institution, because this is an institution, I'm a walking, living, breathing example of how much the staff, the faculty love their students. I get emotional when I think about it because I've had the privilege of navigating a 26-and-a-half-year law enforcement career. After I graduated APU, I went to work for the Azusa Police Department, where I spent 26-and-a-half years there, worked a variety of assignments, retired in 2018 as a captain. And it's interesting how God works because, when I came here in 1986, I didn't know what my purpose was, what I was going to do, what profession I was going to be in. But God knew all of that. And what does he do? I graduate here. He sends me 3 blocks west of here to the Azusa Police Department, where I worked for 26-and-a-half years. I learned this city. I get an opportunity to do a lot of different things. I'm able to stay connected with the university. And then in 2018, I finish that journey and I retire. And I could have gone and done a whole bunch of other things, but what does God do? He tells me to pack your bags, go 3 blocks east, right where you started, and all that stuff you learned about keeping communities safe, I want you to pour it into APU, where we make disciples to go out and do his work. And so it took a little bit of time for me to figure out what my mission and my purpose in life was, but God clearly revealed it to me, and APU is the institution that really built it for me, and I'm grateful for that. I can tell you that your student, before I get into campus safety, I can tell you that your student, if they maximize all the experiences that APU has for them. It will be the time of their life. You know, amongst the fondest memories, the fondest period of my life was the 4 years that I lived on this campus, right? I mentioned I was a student athlete, met a lot of friends, met my wife here, have 3 beautiful kids as a result of all of that. And I have a whole lot of great stories and experiences that I still love to share today. As a matter of fact, I'd like to share one of them with you. Can I share one of my stories with you real quick? All right, so I mentioned I was a student athlete, right? I was on the track team. So APU in the 80s and 90s, very track and field dominant. We had a lot of Olympians here. People came from all over the world to train and compete here against some of our athletes. Won a lot of national championships here. So my freshman year in 1986, I came on the campus. 1987, go to nationals, we win a national championship. Freshman, I win a national championship. Pretty cool, yeah? Yeah. Hang on, gets better, gets better. Came back my second year, 1988, go to nationals, win a national championship. Back to back. I got 2 national championships, right? You'd think I could stop there, wouldn't you? No, not at APU. That's not how we do things. Came back my junior year, went to nationals. We won a national championship. That deserves a round of applause. That's 3 in a row, okay? So now 1990 comes around. It would have been my senior year. I had a stress fracture in my foot, so I had to redshirt that year. They went to nationals. They lost the national championship. I know, that was my, now I'm not saying I had anything to do with that, all right? But the next year in 91, foot healed, came back, went to nationals, won a national championship. Isn't that crazy? So I got to walk out of APU with 4 national championships. Now what happened in 1990? Again, it probably had nothing to do with me. But I love to share that story because it's fun, and it's one of the fun memories that I have from my time here as a student at APU. So let me dive into campus safety and who we are and what we're all about. We are, if I can get my slide to shift, there we go. Our offices are located on the East Campus. You're over here on West Campus now, but we're over on the East Campus. We're situated right in the midst of our living area. If you know where Trinity Hall is, Engstrom Hall is, Adams Hall, we are right in that general area is where our office space is. There is staff in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we are always open. Our team, there's 27 of us on our team, and we are what's called a hybrid campus safety department. And what I mean by that is we have both armed staff on our team and unarmed staff. Okay, so if you look at the chart that's up on the screen, those in gray are our armed personnel. All of those folks have been through a California certified basic police academy. Many of my staff have extensive law enforcement background and careers, so they're well trained and well prepared and great decision makers. The blue are our unarmed personnel on our team. And then the red are our administrative folks and the folks that work in our communications center. I mentioned that we're open all the time. There is always someone available to assist your loved one as long as they're here on our campus. So we're always open. We do our patrols either in a vehicle, on foot, on bicycles. We are between both campuses. There are a couple of little satellite offices that we have at different areas that are off campus that we patrol as well. As you can see, our campus is split between an East Campus and a West Campus. There are classrooms over here on West, classrooms over on East. If at any time any of our students feel the need for a safety escort, they can contact us any time of day or night. Okay, and someone from our team will come and meet them where they are to either give them a ride back to where they need to go or to just escort them back or whatever it is they may need. So please encourage your students, make sure that they're aware that they are not bothering us. I will put one little disclaimer on that though.
remind them we're not Uber or Lyft. All right? If their little toe-toes hurt because they're tired and they want to ride, all right? But if it's truly a need, a safety escort, we are absolutely there to respond and to make sure they get where they're going safely. This next little bullet point, and there's a QR code on there that we offer what's called a rape aggression defense class for our female students. And I would encourage you as parents, if your daughter is coming to school, to have them sign up for this class. We offer it in the fall semester, and we offer it in the spring semester. And it's broken up into, I think, 4-hour blocks, 3 different sessions. They're not going to come out of the class with a black belt in jiu-jitsu or anything like that, but they certainly, our students tell us after each one of those classes how much it enhanced their confidence, right? From a standpoint of just having something in their toolbox, if God forbid they found themselves in a situation where they needed to, get away rapidly and throw an elbow or throw a kick or a strike or something. My team will teach them those basic safety principles and the importance of maintaining, situational awareness and keeping distance and space when you're interacting with someone that perhaps you don't know very well. Simple little concepts, tactics like that, we love to teach that to our students. So if you have a daughter or a loved one that is here in the fall and in the spring, please make sure that you encourage them to look out for our RAD program. Across our campuses, there's a lot of different student employment opportunities, a lot of great jobs on campus. I'm going to be biased and tell you that campus safety is the best one. Right, so please, if you'd be so kind, if your student is looking for on-campus employment, there's a lot of great things that they can do to help support safety on our campus by being a team member with my team. My team goes across campus to different student groups, staff groups, whatever it may be, to do whatever type of safety training that is requested. Whether it's active shooter training, again, I mentioned the RAD training. We love to go out and share that information with everyone whenever it's requested. And then finally, if your student is bringing a car onto campus, it's important that that car is registered. Okay, it's important that it's registered. They can go online, make sure that they register the vehicle. If they're living in our Shire area, for example, that area is gated and has access control. So if their car is not within our system and registered in our system, when they pull up to the gate, it's not going to open the gate and let them in. Okay, so if your student does have a car on campus, please make sure that they register it and that they obtain the appropriate permit for it and that they put that permit visibly displayed on the windshield. We do enforce parking, and it's just obviously it's one of those things where we want to have accountability of vehicles on our campus. We need to know what cars belong and what cars don't, and so we do enforce parking, but the easy way to avoid it is just to make sure that the car is registered. In addition to providing safety and doing all the things in a campus safety officer's job description, I challenge my team to try to do more than that. I challenge myself to do more than that. And what I mean by that is that I mentioned that my 4 years at APU was amongst the best 4 years of my life. And that's because of the fact that faculty and staff cared about me, right? And so I challenge myself, I challenge my team, what can we do more than just, providing physical safety to our students? How can we encourage them? How can we engage with them? How can we walk alongside of them? And one of the things that we do is at each of our living areas, there's an officer that's assigned to one of those spaces. It's our Residence Life Liaison program. And the reason we do that, it's an opportunity for your loved one to kind of have a point of contact within campus safety, right? A familiar face to them, someone that they kind of know by name. And so if there's anything that they may be experiencing, anything that they want to share with us, they've got an immediate point of contact, or at least a familiar face or a familiar name that they can reach out to kind of get that guidance and that support. So please know, or please remind your loved one that if they do have something going on that's safety related, to reach out to that liaison that is assigned to their living space. One of the things that's really important, being on a college campus, is having the ability to effectively communicate with folks in the event of an emergency, right? California is a beautiful place, isn't it? Beaches, mountains, palm trees, all of that. But the ground shakes here every now and then, right? These earthquake things, right? There's fires that come about oftentimes in California. So we have to make sure that we have a system in place to be able to effectively communicate critical information in a timely fashion to our whole campus community. And we do that in a variety of ways. One of the ways that we do it is what's called a audible Wayland siren system. We have a couple here on West Campus and a couple on East Campus. And so if there was an event that happened, that siren would be sounded to get everybody's attention. It would be followed by a mass communication notification, where they would get a message on their cell phone, a text message on their cell phone, an email, and a phone call, right, in that different orders. And they have to respond to that, or else it will keep coming to them. We also try to stay connected with our students via social media. About 5 years ago, we introduced an app, and it's called Safe APU. And so another big favor that I have of each and every one of you is, before you leave for the weekend, please check your loved one's phone and ensure that they have uploaded the app Safe APU. All right? Within Safe APU, there's a lot of valuable, critical emergency information. There's pre-programmed designated phone numbers in there to not only campus safety, but to the local police departments. There is a toolbox in there that tells them what to do in the event of an active shooter, God forbid. It explains to them what the difference is between a lockdown and shelter in place. There's a great feature on there called Friend Walk. And what Friend Walk is, if they're walking from West Campus to East Campus, and let's say it's in the fall when it starts to get dark a little bit earlier, they can press that Friend Walk tile, and it'll send a message. They can select a friend that they want to send that message to, and that friend can monitor their walk. A little interactive map will pop up, and it will show their little blue dot flashing from West Campus to East Campus. And if along the way, they needed some assistance, they can press another little marker, and it will tell them that they are at the intersection of walk and don't walk. And that friend or campus safety or whoever it is can go to that intersection to see how we can assist them, right? So a lot of great features with inside Safe APU. So I beg you, I implore you, please check their phone and make sure that they've uploaded Safe APU. Within the university, we have a group of professional staff that make up our critical incident response team, right? The time to be ready for a critical incident is not when it's upon you. The time to be ready for a critical incident is, well before it arrives, so that when the incident does arrive, you're on autopilot. You know exactly what to do. And so we have a critical incident response team that our campus safety department works very, very closely with. That team meets on a regular basis, and I stand here confidently that as incidents come up, there's a team of folks here on campus that are prepared to navigate through whatever that problem or that crisis might be. The common question that we get oftentimes, or I might get oftentimes, is as it relates to those emergency notifications, how can you as parents stay connected with that? At this time, you're not able to get the same mass notification alert that your student will get. However, that same notification is posted on our university website, right? So as long as you have apu.edu bookmarked and it's on your laptop, desktop, phone, or whatever, a lot of those emergency notifications also go onto our main APU website, usually with a yellow banner, so you'd be able to see it almost at the same time as your student receiving it, okay? Community connections. Keeping our campus safe takes more than just the 27 men and women that work within our campus safety department. It takes our whole community, our internal stakeholders as well as our external stakeholders. And being a member of the Azusa Police Department for 26 and a half years has its privileges. So we have an outstanding relationship with Azusa PD. We conduct trainings with them. They are very supportive of who we are and what we do. We actually operate on a memorandum of understanding with the police department. So some of our officers who are our armed staff have powers of arrest while on duty in uniform on APU property. And I can tell you that that's not a common relationship amongst universities, up and down the state, because it does require having a lot of strong relationships and partnerships and collaborations. And so it's exciting that APU has been able to establish that here on our campus. So not only with Azusa PD, we have a great relationship with Glendora PD, which is the city to our east, Covina PD, which is the city to our south. There are two county fire departments within close proximity to Azusa Pacific. Station 32 is west of us, and Station 97 is north of us, all of which partner very well with us. So our community connections, our state of readiness as it relates to dealing with crisis, our ability to obtain real-time information in those situations so we can make good comprehensive decisions to keep our community safe. I'm excited to share with you that those are all in place. One of the last final bullets here. I was fortunate enough to make it through my career, and at Azusa PD, and I accredit that to the investment that the city and that the police department puts into training. And it's been my goal since getting here to do much of the same here with our staff. So this list is not a full list of all of the trainings that my team go through. It just kind of gives you a snapshot of some of the topics that we train on regularly. We know that everybody within our community, we all come from different places, right? You wouldn't know it by the way I talk, but I was born in England, and I came to America when I was 8 years old. My parents are Jamaican. So we all come from different places and have different, understandings of things and each other. And it's important that we take an intentional mindset towards learning who we are and how to interact with each other. So, thanks to my friend Dr. Hall, my team has done several trainings on topics such as, implicit bias, right? What behaviors might I be unintentionally showing that is creating a wall in our relationship? And, Dr. Hall and his team has really educated my staff on that topic, and we're extremely appreciative for that. De-escalation techniques, crisis intervention, active shooter, dealing with folks that may have mental health challenges or be unsheltered, having the ability to interact with those folks. All of those types of topics are things that we spend time training on so we can be effective in doing our job here on campus. And I'll just end it with this. Our goal, obviously, as a campus safety department is to ensure the safety of our entire community, and in particular, your loved one that's here. And we are absolutely committed to doing that. But at the same time, we want them to thrive. We want them to have fun. We want them to this 4 years to just be etched in their mind as a wonderful, wonderful experience for them. And my team is committed to doing whatever we can to contribute to them thriving and being successful. And at the end of the day, we want to see them succeed, right? We want to be here in the winter commencement or the spring commencement, whichever one they may walk across this very stage at, and be able to stand here and just applaud their success. All right, so that's kind of the mission, the focus, who campus safety is all about. Our contact information is here. Feel free to take a picture of that. You will not be bothering me if you call me anytime during the course of the year. If you have a question about safety here at APU, feel free to give me a call. Feel free to drop me an email. Finally, welcome to APU. And enjoy the rest of today and tomorrow, and safe travels when you do depart.